There she is.
Oh, I merely came back to water the roses. I thought you were with Uncle Jack.
He's gone to order the dog cart for me.
Oh, is he going to take you for a nice drive?
He's going to send me away.
But have we got to part?
I'm afraid so. It is a most painful parting.
It is always painful to part from people whom one has known for a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity, but even a momentary separation from anyone whom one has just been introduced is almost unbearable.
Thank you.
The dog cart is waiting, sir.
It can wait, Merriman, for 5 minutes.
I hope, Cecily, that I shall not offend you if I state quite frankly and openly that you seem to me to be the visible personification of absolute perfection.
I think your frankness does you great credit, Ernest. If you will allow me, I will copy your remarks into my diary.
Do you really keep a diary? I'd give anything to look at it, may I?
Oh no, you see, it is merely a young girl's record of her own thoughts and impressions, and consequently only meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I hope you will order a copy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I delight in taking down from dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. You can go on. I'm quite ready for more. Oh, don't cough, Ernest. When one's dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell cough.
Cecily, ever since I looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have dared to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly.
I don't think that you should tell me that you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it?
Cecily.
The dog cart is at the door, sir.
Tell it to come round next week at the same hour.
Yes.
Uncle Jack would be very annoyed if you knew staying on until next week at the same hour.
No, I don't care about Jack. I don't care for anyone in the whole world but you. I'm in love with you, Cecily. You will marry me, won't you?
You silly boy. Of course. Why, we have been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months?
Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday.
But, how did we become engaged?
Well, ever since dear Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad, you'll form the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism, and of course, a man who is much talked about is always very attractive. One feels there must be something in him after all. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Ernest.
Darling, when was the engagement actually settled?
On the 14th of February last, worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or the other, and after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear old tree here. The next day I bought this little ring in your name, and this is the little bangle with the true lover's knot which I promised you always to wear.
Did I give you this? It's very pretty, isn't it?
Yes, you've wonderfully good taste, Ernest. It's the excuse I've always given for you leading such a bad life. And this is the box in which I keep all your dear letters.
My letters? But, Cecily, I've never written you any letters.
You need hardly remind me of that, Ernest. I remember only too well that I was forced to write your letters for you. I wrote 3 times a week, sometimes oftener.
Do let me read them, Cecily.
Oh no, I couldn't possibly. They would make you far too conceited. The 3 you wrote me after I had broken off our engagement is so beautiful and badly spelled that even now I can hardly read them without crying a little.
But was our engagement ever broken off?
Of course it was. On the 22nd of last March. You can read the entry if you like. Today I broke off my engagement with Earnest. I feel it is better to do so. The weather continues charming.
But why did you break it off? What had I done? I had done nothing, Cecily. I am very much hurt to hear that you broke it off. Particularly when the weather was so charming.
It would hardly have been a really serious engagement if it hadn't been broken off at least once. But I forgave you before the week was out.
What a perfect angel you are, Cecily.
You dear romantic boy. I hope your hair curls naturally, does it?
Yes, with a little help from others.
I'm so glad.
You'll never break off our engagement again, Cecily.
I don't think I could now that I've actually met you. Besides, of course, there's the question of your name.
Yes, of course.
You must not laugh at me, darling, but it has always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Earnest. There is something in that name that seems to inspire absolute confidence. I pity the poor married woman whose husband is not called Earnest.
But do you mean to say you could not love me if I had some other name?
But what name?
Oh, well, any name you like. Algernon, for instance.
But I don't like the name of Algernon.
Well, my own sweet, loving little Cecily. I don't see why you could object to the name of Algernon. It's not at all a bad name. In fact, it's a rather aristocratic name. Half the chaps who get into the bankruptcy court are called Algernon. But seriously, Cecily, if my name were Algie, could you love me?
I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character. But I fear I should not be able to give you my undivided attention.
Cecily, your rector here is thoroughly experienced in all the rites and ceremonials of the church, is he not?
Oh yes, Dr. Chasuble's a most learned man. He's never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
Well, I must see him at once on a most important christening. I mean on most important business.
Oh?
It shan't be away more than half an hour.
Considering that we've been engaged since February the 14th, and that I only met you today for the first time, I feel it is rather hard that you should leave me for so long a period as half an hour. Couldn't you make it 20 minutes?
I'll be back in no time.
What an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must enter his proposal into my diary.
Miss Fairfax is called to see Mr. Worthing. Very important business, Miss Fairfax states.
Isn't Mr. Worthing in his library?
Mr. Worthing went in the direction of the rectory some time ago.
Ask the lady to come out here. Mr. Worthing is sure to be back soon, and you can bring tea.
Tea.
Miss Fairfax. I suppose one of the many good elderly women associated with Uncle Jack in some philanthropic work in London. I don't quite like women who are interested in philanthropic work. I think it is so forward of them.
Miss Fairfax.
Pray, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew. What a very sweet name. Something tells me we are going to be great friends. I like you already more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
Oh, how nice of you to like me so much after you've known each other such a comparatively short time. Pray, sit down.
Now I may call you Cecily, may I not?
Oh, with pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
If you wish.
Then that is all quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
Perhaps this might be a favourable opportunity for my mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You have heard of Papa, I suppose?
I don't think so.
But outside the family circle, Papa is, I am glad to say, entirely unknown. I think that is quite as it should be. The home seems to me to be the proper sphere for the man, and certainly once a man begins to neglect his domestic duties, he becomes painfully effeminate, does he not? And I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Cecily, Mamma, whose views on education are remarkably district has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It is part of the system. So, do you mind if I'm looking at you through my glasses?
Oh, not at all, Gwendolyn. I'm very fond of being looked at.
Ooh, you're here on a short visit, where's it?
Oh, no, I live here.
Your mother, no doubt, or some other female relative of advanced years, resides here also?
No, I have no mother, nor in fact any relations.
Oh, indeed.
My dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I'm Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh. How strange! He never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I am not sure, however, that the news inspires me with feelings of unmixed delight. I am very, very fond of you, Cecily. I have liked you ever since I met you. But I am bound to state that now that I know that you're Mr. Worthing's ward, I cannot help expressing a wish that you look, well, a little older than you seem to be, and not quite so very alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly...
Oh, pray do. I think that whenever one has something unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid.
Well, to speak with perfect candor, Cecily, I wish you were fully 42. More than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honor. Disloyalty would be as impossible to him as deception. But even men of the noblest possible moral character are extremely susceptible to the influence of the physical charms of others. Modern, or less than ancient history supplies us with many most painful examples of what I refer to. If it were not so, indeed, history would be quite unreadable.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Yes.
Oh, but it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who's my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I'm sorry to say that they have not been on good terms for a long time.
Oh. Well, that accounts for it. And now that I think of it, I've never heard any man mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. Oh, it would have been terrible had any cloud come across a friendship such as ours, would it not? Of course, you're quite sure that it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian.
Quite sure. In fact, I'm going to be his.
I beg your pardon?
Dearest Gwendolyn, there is no reason why I should make a secret of it to you. Our little country newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
my darling Cecily! I think there's been some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post Saturday at the latest.
I believe that you must be under some misconception. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago. Look.
Oh, it is certainly very curious, for he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you care to verify the incident, pray do so. I never travel without my diary. One must have something sensational to read in the train. I am so sorry, Cecily, if it is any disappointment to you, but I'm afraid I have the prior claim.
It would distress me more than I can tell you, dear Gwendolyn, if it caused you any mental or physical anguish. But I feel bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he has clearly changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him at once, and with a firm hand.
Whatever unfortunate entanglement my dear boy may have gotten himself into, I will never approach him with the fact after we are married.
You allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? Oof, you are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you! This is no time for wearing the shallow mask of manners. When I see a spade, I call it a spade.
I am glad to say that I have never seen girls have been widely different.
Shall we lay tea here as usual, miss?
Yes, as usual.
Are there many interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Oh yes, a great many. From the top of one of the hills quite close, one can see 5 counties.
5 counties. I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
Live in town.
Quite a well-kept garden this is, Miss Cardew.
So glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I had no idea there were any flowers in the country.
Oh, flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, I cannot understand how anybody manages to exist in the country, if anybody who is anybody does. The country always bores me to death.
Ah, this is what the newspapers call agricultural depression, is it not? I believe the aristocracy are suffering from it very much just at present. Indeed, it is almost an epidemic amongst them, I've been told. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you, detestable girl, but I require tea.
Sugar?
Oh, no, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Hand that to Miss Fairfax. Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best houses nowadays.
Hand that to Miss Fairfax.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar. And though I asked most distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature. But I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy from the machinations of any other girl, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
Oh, from the moment I saw you, I distrusted you. I felt you were false and deceitful. I am never deceived in such matters. My first impressions of people are invariably right.
It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I am trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you have many other calls of a similar character to make in the neighborhood.
My own moment. May I ask, are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To deal with necessity? Of course not. What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may.
I knew there must be some misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax. The gentleman whose arm is present round your waist is my guardian, Mr. John Worthing.
I beg your pardon?
This is Uncle Jack.
Jack! Oh!
Here is Ernest.
My own
A
one.
moment, Ernest. May I ask, are you engaged to be married to this lady?
What young... Good heavens, Gwendolyn!
Yes, to good heavens, Gwendolyn! I mean to Gwendolyn.
Of course not. What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you, you may.
I felt there was some slight error, Miss Cardew, but the gentleman who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
could deny if I liked. I could deny anything if I liked. However, my name is John. It has been John for years.
The prince's deception has been practiced on both of us.
Oh, my poor wounded Cecily.
My sweet, wronged Gwendolyn.
You will call me sister, will you not?
There is just one question I would like to be allowed to ask my guardian.
An admirable idea. Mr. Worthing, there is just one question I would like to be permitted to put to you. Where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest. So, it is a matter of some importance to us to know where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it is very painful for me to be forced to speak the truth. It is the first time in my life I've ever been reduced to such a painful position. And I don't have very much practice in doing anything of the kind. However, I will tell you frankly, I have no brother Ernest. I don't have a brother at all. I never had a brother in all my life, and I certainly don't have the smallest intention of ever having a brother in the future.
No brother at all.
None.
Had you never any brother of any kind?
Never, not even of any kind.
Well, I'm afraid it is quite clear, Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
It isn't a very pleasant position for a young girl to suddenly find herself in, is it?
No. Let us go into the house. They will hardly venture to come after us there.
No, men are so cowardly, aren't they?
This ghastly state of things is what you call bumbering, I suppose.
Yes, and what a perfectly wonderful Bunbury it is. The most wonderful Bunbury I've ever had in my entire life.
But you have no right bumbering here.
One has a right to Bunbury whatever one chooses. Every serious Bunburyist knows that.
Serious Bunburyist? Good heavens!
Well, one must be serious about something if one wants to have any amusement in life. What you're serious about, I haven't the slightest idea. About everything, I suppose.
Well,
You have such an absolutely trivial nature.
the only small satisfaction I have in the whole of this wretched business is that your friend Bunbury is quite exploding. You won't be running down to the country quite as often as you used to do, dear Algy. A very good thing, too.
Your brother is a little off colour, isn't he, Jack? You won't be able to run up to town quite so often as your wicked custom was. And not a bad thing either.
As for your conduct towards Miss Cardew, I must say, you're taking in that sweet, innocent girl. Disgraceful, to say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
Well, I can see no possible defence for your deceiving a brilliant, clever, thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax, to say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin.
I just wanted to be married to Gwendolyn. That is all. I love her.
I wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
You certainly have no chance of marrying Miss Cardew.
Well, I don't think there is much likelihood, Jack, of you and Miss Fairfax ever being united.
Well, that is no business of yours.
Well, if it was my business, I wouldn't talk about it. Only people like stockbrokers ever do that, and then only at dinner parties.
How can you sit there calmly eating muffins when you're in this horrible trouble? I can't make it out. You seem to me to be perfectly heartless.
Well, I couldn't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butter would probably get to my cups. One should always eat muffins quite calmly. It is the only way to eat them.
I say, imperfectly heartless, you're eating muffins at all, under the circumstances.
When I am in great trouble, eating is the only thing that consoles me. Indeed, when I am in very great trouble, as anyone who knows me intimately will tell you, I refuse everything except food and drink. At the present moment, I'm eating muffins because I am unhappy. Besides, I happen to be particularly fond of muffins.
Well, that is no reason you should eat them all in that greedy way.
I wish you would have tea cake instead. I don't like tea cake.
Good heavens, I suppose a man may be allowed to eat his own muffins in his own garden.
Well, you just said it was perfectly heartless to eat muffins.
I said it perfectly heartless of you. Under the circumstances, that is a very different thing.
Well, that may be, but the muffins are the same.
Good heavens, Algy, I wish you would go!
You can't ask me to go without having some dinner first. I never go anywhere without having dinner first. Nobody ever does, except for vegetarians and people like that. Besides, I have just made arrangements for Dr. Chasuble to be christened at 5:45 under the name of Earnest.
Oh, my dear fellow, the sooner you get that idea out of your head, the better. I made arrangements with Dr. Chasuble to be christened this afternoon. Naturally, I will take the name of Earnest. Gwendolyn would wish it. We both can't be christened Earnest. That is absurd. Besides, I have a perfect right to be christened if I like. There is no evidence at all that I ever have been christened. It is a very different thing in your case. You have been christened already.
Yes, but I've not been christened for years.
But you have been christened. That is the important thing.
Exactly, so I know my constitution can stand it. If you're not sure about ever having been christened, I think it is rather dangerous of you risking it now. You can hardly forget someone close to you was very nearly carried off just last week in Paris by a severe chill.
Yes, but you said yourself that a severe chill is not hereditary.
Well, it used to be, but I dare say it is now. Science is always making wonderful improvements in things.
That is nonsense.
Jack, you're at the muffins again. I wish you wouldn't. There are only 2 left. I told you I was particularly fond of muffins.
But I hate tea cake!
Then why do you allow tea cake to be served for your guests? What ideas you have about hospitality?
Algernon, I already asked you to go. I don't want you here. Why don't you go?
Well, I haven't finished my tea yet, and there's still 1 muffin left.
on seems to me to show that they have some sense of shame left.
They've been eating muffins. That looks like repentance.
They don't seem to notice us at all. Cough.
But I haven't a cough.
They're looking at us. What a contrary.
They're approaching. That is very forward of them.
Let us preserve a dignified silence.
Certainly, it's the only thing to do now.
This dignified silence seems to produce an unpleasant effect.
A most distasteful one.
But we will not be the first to speak.
Certainly not.
Mr. Worthing, there is something very particular I would like to ask you. Much depends on your reply.
Gwendolyn, your common sense is invaluable. Mr. Moncrief, kindly answer me the following question. Why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
So that I might have an opportunity of meeting you.
That certainly seems like a satisfactory answer, does it not?
Yes, dear. If you can believe him.
I don't. But that does not affect the wonderful beauty of his answer.
True, and that is of grave importance. Style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. Mr. Worthing, what explanation can you give to me for pretending to have a brother? Was it in order that you might have an opportunity of coming to town to see me as often as possible?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
I have my greatest doubts upon the subject, but I intend to crush them. This is not the moment for German skepticism. The explanation seemed to me to be quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Worthing's. That seems to me to have the stamp of truth upon it.
I'm more than content with what Mr. Moncrief said. His voice alone seems to inspire one with absolute credibility.
Then you think we should forgive them?
Yes! I mean, no.
I have forgotten. There are principles at stake that one cannot surrender. Which of us should tell them? The task is not a pleasant one.
Could we not both speak at the same time?
An excellent idea. I may always speak at the same time as other people. Will you take the time from me?
Certainly.
Your Christian names are still an insuperable barrier. That is all.
Our Christian names? Is that all? But we are going to meet Christian this afternoon.
For Christ's sake, are you prepared to do this terrible thing?
I am.
So please me, are you ready to face this fearful ordeal?
I am.
How absurd to talk of the equality of the sexes. Where questions of self-sacrifice are concerned, men are infinitely beyond us.
We are.
They have moments of physical courage of which we women know absolutely nothing.
Darling.
Lady Bracknell!
Gwendolyn, what does this mean?
Merely that I am engaged to Miss Worthing, Mamma.
Nonsense. Sit down. Sit down immediately. Hesitation of any kind is a sign of mental decay in the arm. Invisible weakness in the yoke. Apprised, sir, of my daughter's sudden flight by your trusty maid whose confidence I purchased by means of small coin. I followed her at once, by luggage train. Her unhappy father, I am glad to say, is under the impression that she is at an unusually lengthy lecture at the University Extension Scheme on the influence of a permanent income of thought. I do not propose that we undeceive him. Indeed, I have never undeceived my father on any question. I would consider it wrong, but you must clearly understand that from this moment on, all communication from you between yourself and my daughter must cease immediately. On this point, indeed on all points, I am firm.
I am engaged to be married to Gwendolyn, Lady Bracknell.
No, you are nothing of the kind, sir. Now, in regards to Algernon,
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
may I ask, is this the house where your invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, resides?
Oh, no. Bunbury isn't here. Bunbury is somewhere else at present. In fact, Bunbury is dead.
Dead? When did
killed poor Bunbury this afternoon. I mean, Bunbury died this afternoon.
What did he die of?
Bunbury? Well, he was quite, exploded.
Exploded? Was he the victim of some revolutionary outrage? I was unaware that Mr. Bunbury was interested in social legislation. If so, he was well punished for his morbidity.
I mean, so, Aunt Augusta, I mean to say Bunbury was found out. The doctors found out that Bunbury could not live, is what I mean. So, Bunbury died.
He must have had great confidence in the opinion of his physicians. I am glad, however, that he decided at the last to take a direct course of action and acted upon the proper medical advice. And now that we have finally gotten rid of Mr. Bunbury, Mr. Worthing, may I ask, who is this young person whose hand my nephew Algernon is holding in what seems to me a peculiarly unnecessary manner?
That lady is Miss Cecily Cardew, my ward.
I'm engaged to be married to Cecily, Aunt Augusta.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Moncrief and I are engaged to be married, Lady Bracknell.
I do not know if there's something peculiarly exciting in the air in this particular part of Hertfordshire, but the number of engagements that go on seem to me to be considerably above the proper average that statistics have laid down for our guidance. I think some preliminary inquiry on my part would not be out of place. Mr. Worthing, is Miss Cardew at all connected to any of the larger railway stations in London? I merely desire information. Until yesterday, I had no idea there were families or persons whose origin was eternal.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter to the late Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square, Southwest, Jevis Park, Docking, Surrey, and Spurn, Fifishire, Northern Britain.
Well, that is not unsatisfactory. 3 addresses does inspire confidence, even in tradesmen. But what proof do I have of their authenticity?
I have carefully preserved the court guides of the period. They are open to your inspection, Lady Bracknell.
I've known strange arts in that before.
Miss Cardew's family solicitors are Messrs. Markby, and Markby.
Oh, Markby, and Markby. A firm of the highest position in their profession. Indeed, I have been told that one of the Mr. Markbys has been occasionally seen at dinner parties. So far, I am satisfied.
How extremely kind you are, Lady Bracknell. I have also in my possession, you'll be pleased to hear, certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, whooping cough, confirmation, registration, vaccination, and the measles, both the English and German varieties.
Ah, life crowded with incident, I see. Perhaps somewhat too much excitement for a young girl. I myself am not in favor of premature experiences. But the time is now far gone. We have not a moment to lose. Mr. Worthing, as a matter of form, I'm going to ask if Miss Cardew has any knowledge.
No, about £150,000 in the funds, Lady Bracknell. Good day, so pleased to have seen you.
1 minute, Mr. Worthing. £130,000. And in the funds? Miss Cardew seems like a most attractive young lady. Now that I look at her, very few girls have any really solid qualities nowadays. Qualities that last and improve with time. We live in an age, I regret to say, of services. Come here. Come here. Oh, pretty child, yes. Your dress is would alter all of that. A thoroughly experienced French maid can produce a marvelous result in a bit of grease this time. I remember I recommended one to a young lady lassie, and in 3 months' time, her own husband did not know her.
And after 6, nobody would know.
Heidi, come over here. Turn around, dear. Oh, no, beside you is what I want. Ah, yes. Just as I expected. Your profile has distinct social possibilities. In this age, there are 2 weak points. Want a principle and want a profile. The chin a little higher, dear. Style largely depends on how high the chin is worn. It is worn very high at present. Algernon?
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
There are distinct social possibilities in this cartoon's profile.
Well, Cecily is the sweetest, dearest, prettiest girl I ever saw in my entire life. And I don't care 2 pence about social possibilities.
Never speak disrespectfully of society, Algernon. Only people who can't get into it do that. My dear child, you know that Algernon has nothing but his debts to depend upon. I do not approve of mercenary marriages. When I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of any kind. But I never dreamed of allowing him to stand in my way. I suppose I must give my consent.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
Cecily, you may kiss me. And in the future, you can call me Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
The marriage better take place quite soon, I think.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
I myself am not in favor of long engagements. They give people the opportunity of finding out each other's character. That is never advisable.
This engagement is entirely out of the question. I am Miss Cadou's guardian, and she cannot marry without my consent. That consent I absolutely decline to give.
On what grounds? Algernon is an extremely, I would dare say ostentatiously, eligible young man. He has nothing, but he looks everything. What's more, look on the side.
It pains me very much to speak frankly to you, Lady Bracknell, about your nephew, but the fact is I don't approve at all of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew, Algernon? Impossible. He is an Oxford man.
I fear there can be no possible doubt about the matter. This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London, on an important question of romance, he obtained admission to my house by means of the false pretense of being my brother. Under an assumed name, he drank, I have just been informed by my butler, an entire pint bottle of Pierre's Jouet 89. Wine I had specifically reserved for myself. Continuing his disgraceful deception, he succeeded in the course of an afternoon in alienating the affections of my only ward. He subsequently stayed to tea and devoured every single muffin.
To make his conduct all the more heartless, as he knew perfectly well from the first.
I have no brother. I never had a brother, and I don't intend to have a brother, not even of any kind. I specifically told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
Mr. Worthy, after some careful consideration, I have decided to entirely overlook my nephew's conduct.
That is very generous of you, Lady Bracknell. As for my decision on the matter, I decline to give my consent.
Come here, dear. How old are you?
Well, I really am only 18, but I always admit a 20 when I go to evening parties.
You are perfectly right to make that slight alteration. Women should never be accurate about their age. It looks so calculating. 18, but admitting to 20 at evening parties. I would say that you are almost of age age and free from the restraints of tutelage. I don't think that your guardian's consent is any matter of importance.
Well, pray excuse me, Lady Bracknell, for interrupting again, but according to the guidelines of Miss Cadou's grandfather's will, Cecily does not come legally of age until she is 35.
I see no grave objection. 35 is a very attractive age. London society is full of women of the very highest birth, who, by their own free choice, have remained 35 for years. I don't see why our dear Cecily won't be just as attractive as at the age you mentioned as she is at present. There's going to be a large accumulation of property.
Algie, could you wait for me until I was 35?
Of course I could, Cecily. You know I could.
Yes, I felt it instinctively. But I couldn't wait all that time. I hate waiting even 5 minutes for anybody. It always makes me rather cross. I'm not punctual myself, I know, but I do like punctuality in others. Waiting, even to be married, is quite out of the question.
Then what is to be done, Cecily?
I don't know, Miss Moncrief.
My dear Mr. Worthing, as Miss Cardew positively states, she cannot wait until she's 35. A remark, I am bound to say, shows somewhat of an impatient nature. But I beg of you to reconsider your decision.
My dear Lady Bracknell, the matter is entirely in your hands. The moment you consent to my marriage with Gwendolyn, I will gladly allow your nephew to form an alliance with my ward.
You realize that what you propose is out of the question.
Passionate celibacy is all any of us can look forward to.
I just don't guesstimate. That's not what I have in mind for Gwendolyn. Algernon, of course, can choose for himself. Come, dear, we've already missed 5, if not 6 trains. To miss another might expose us to comment.
Everything is quite ready for the christenings.
The christenings? Isn't that somewhat premature?
Both these gentlemen have expressed a desire for immediate baptism.
At their age? That is irreligious and grotesque. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. I will not hear of such excesses. Lord Bracknell would be highly displeased if he knew that's how you were wasting your time.
Am I to understand then that there are to be no christenings at all this afternoon?
I'm afraid that, as things are now, that won't be of any practical value to either of us, Dr. Chasuble.
It grieves me to hear such sentiments from you, Mr. Worthing. They savor of the heretical views of the Anabaptists, views that I have completely refuted in 4 of my unpublished sermons. However, as your present mood seems to be one peculiarly secular, I shall return to the church immediately. In fact, I have just been informed by the pew opener that for the last hour and a half, Miss Prism has been waiting for me in the vestry.
Prism? Did you say Miss Prism?
Yes, Lady Bracknell, I am on my way to join her.
Pray allow me to detain you for 1 moment. This is a matter of great importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Tell me, is this Miss Prism a female of repellent aspect and remotely connected to education?
She is the most cultivated of ladies and the very picture of respectability.
It's obviously the same person. What position does she hold in your household?
I am a celibate, madam.
Miss Prism, Lady Bracknell, has been for the last 3 years Cecily's valued companion and esteemed guardian.
Oh, well, despite what I hear of her, I must see her at once. Let her be sent for.
Oh, she approaches. She is nigh.
I was told you expected me in the vestry, Dick Haddon. I've been waiting for you there for 1 hour and 3/4. daughters.
Prism! Prism! Come here, Prism! Prism, where is that baby? 28 years ago, Prism, you left Lord Bracknell's house, number 104 Upper Grosvenor Street, in charge of a perambulator that has a baby of the male sex. You never returned! 3 weeks later, after an elaborate investigation by the Metropolitan Police, the perambulator was discovered at midnight, standing by itself in a remote corner of Bayswater. It contained a manuscript, a 3-volume novel of the most unusually revolting sentimentality. But the baby was not there. Miss Prism, where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I admit with shame that I do not know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are these. On the morning of the day you mentioned, a day that is forever branded on my memory, I prepared as usual to take the baby out in its perambulator. I had also with me a somewhat old but capacious handbag, in which I had intended to place the manuscript of one fiction that I had written during my few unoccupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction for which I never can forgive myself, I deposited the manuscript in the bassinet and placed the baby in the handbag.
But where did you deposit the handbag?
Do not ask me, Mr. Worthing.
Miss Prism, this is a matter of no small importance to me. I insist on knowing where you placed the handbag containing that infant.
I left it in the cloakroom of one of the larger railway stations in London.
What? Railway station?
Victoria! The Brighton Line!
I must return to my room for a moment. Gwendolyn, wait here for me.
Oh, if you're not too long, I will wait here for you all my life.
Lady Bracknell, what does all this mean?
I dare not even suspect. I need hardly tell you that families of higher position, stranger coincidences do not occur. It is hardly considered a thing.
Uncle Jack seems strangely agitated.
Your guardian has a very emotional nature.
No, noise is so unpleasant it sounds like an argument. And I detest arguments of any kind. They are always vulgar and convincing.
Oh, it has stopped now.
No, I wish you would arrive at some conclusion.
Oh, the suspense is terrible. I hope it will last.
Is this the handbag, Miss Prism? Examine it carefully before you speak. The happiness in more than one life depends on your answer.
Seems to be mine. Oh yes! Here is the injury it received through the upsetting of a Gower Street omnibus in younger and happier days. Oh, and here on the line is the stain caused by the explosion of a temperance beverage. Infected at a Count of Leamington. Here on the lock are my initials. I had forgotten that in an extravagant mood I had had them placed there. The bag is undoubtedly mine. Oh, I'm so delighted to have it so unexpectedly restored to me. It's been a great inconvenience me without it all these years.
Miss Prism, more has been restored to you than this handbag. I was the baby you placed in it.
You?
Yes! Mother!
Mr. Worthing! I am unmarried!
Unmarried? I do not deny that this comes as a serious blow, but who can cast a stone upon who has suffered? It cannot repentance, right way not to follow. Why should there be one mouth for men and another for women? Mother, I forgive you.
Mr. Worthing! There is some error! There is a lady who can tell you who you really are!
sound inquisitive, but would you inform me who I am?
I'm afraid the news I have to give you will not altogether please you. You are the son of my poor sister, Mrs. Von Grief, and consequently, Algernon's older brother.
Algy's elder brother? Then I have a brother after all! I always said I had a brother! Cecily, how could you have doubted that I had a brother? Gwendolyn, my unfortunate brother! Miss Prison, my unfortunate brother! Dr. Chasuble, my unfortunate brother! Algy, you young scoundrel, you had better treat me with more respect in the future! You have never behaved to me like a brother in all your life!
Well, not till today, old boyo. Although I admit I was out of practice.
My own. Oh, but what own are you? What is your Christian name now that you have become someone else?
Good heavens, I had quite forgotten the point. Your decision on the subject of my name is irrevocable, I suppose?
I never change, except in my affection.
What a noble nature you have, Gwendolyn.
And we had better have the question cleared up at once. Aunt Augusta, at the time I was placed in the handbag, had I been christened already?
Everything that money could buy was lavished upon you, including Christine, by your fond and dear parents.
Then I was christened already, that is settled. What name was I given? Let me know the worst.
Well, being the eldest son, you were naturally christened after your father.
Yes, but what was my father's Christian name?
I can't remember at the present what the general's Christian name was. But I have no doubt he had one. He was an eccentric, I'll admit. But that was in later years, and that was after the Indian climate, and due to marriage, and indigestion.
Algernon, can you recall our father's Christian name?
I'm afraid not. We were never even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
His name would appear in the army list of the period, would it not?
Well, the general was essentially a man of peace, except for in his domestic life. But I have no doubt his name would be in one of the military directories.
The army lists of the period are here. These delightful records should have been my constant study. Here we are. Malin, Raxmore, ghastly names these are. Linsby, Mobbs, Moncrief. Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel, General, Christian name, Ernest John. I almost told you my name was Earnest, didn't I? Well, it is Ernest, naturally. It is Ernest.
Oh yes, the general's Christian name was Ernest. I knew I disliked that name for you,
Ernest. Oh, my own Ernest. Oh, I thought from the first that you could have no other name.
Gwendolyn, it is a terrible thing for a man to find out that all his life he has been speaking nothing but the truth. Can you forgive me?
I can, for I feel sure you're to change.
My one, at last.
Letitia.
At last!
Cecily, at last.
My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, for the first time in my life, I now realize the vital importance of being earnest.
my